Madam Rosar just said, this is the Gambia, part of Africa, and we have a very huge youth bulge. Currently, the population of youths is 77% of the population is made up of youths below the age of 35. And looking at this population, 51% of them are women, and 49% of them are men below the age of 35. And we made a commitment to harness the demographic dividend based on the African Union roadmap for harnessing the demographic dividend. And having said that these topics align very well with the theme, which is empowering women to create the families they want for a fair and hopeful future, is very, very apt.
And when you look at this thing, I mean, can you share with us some of, successful initiatives that that have been made to make that difference as far as Gambian youth are concerned, especially young people?
Thank you very much, and I'll be very happy to share some of the things that are being done. I'll start by saying that we know that in this country, when it comes to women, we have a lot of social norms that affect women. It can be violence. It can be and experts in their own areas. It's shared by the Ministry of Justice, and the Vice Chair is FLAG. And one of the initiatives, and this is the first of its kind in this country, is that we have developed what we call a national compendium of legal texts. And this national compendium, what it has done is that it has compiled the laws in this country, not only the laws in the country, but also global commitments, as well as regional commitments and national laws, and it has compiled them into a single document that we call this compendium. And what this is going to do is that it's going to enhance access to legal information, and it's also going to going to be used to create awareness. Because apart from the compendium, we have developed guidelines to be used alongside the compendium to help legal practitioners, as well as those that have a stake in empowering adolescent girls and young women. And this would go a long way in reducing violence against women, as well as other forms of violence against women in whatever form. The other thing that we have done is that we have also updated the country profile. And this shows that the window of opportunity has opened. In fact, the original profile was funded by UNFPA, and it shows that the window opened in 2000. And when we did it again in 2015, it showed that the window is still open, and that we have a bigger potential for harnessing the demographic dividend. But this is just a potential. We need to make the right investments, and these are investments that have to do with health. It has to do with education. It has to do with also economic empowerment, as well as good governance and youth empowerment.
And you have heard from Director Fani. How do you see young people's empowerment translating into real changes on the ground as far as the Gambia is concerned?
Okay, so since the subject is about population issues, what we need to know is that a young person has needs, and some of these needs has to do with their sexual reproductive health and rights. Sexual reproductive health means that, especially for young girls, when they are growing up, they need to stay in school. We want to make sure that they are not married at a young age, which will not allow them to finish at least the high school cycle. And you also have to put there the opportunity for education, but also for life skills, and also skills for jobs, because ultimately, as Madam Fane was mentioning, the demographic dividend is nothing less than the capacity of a country to use its youthful population that are well educated, healthy, to become human capital and be able to develop the country. So for us, for young people, potential needs to be fulfilled, and it means that along with the theme of the State of the World Population Report we will be launching on Friday as well, is about the choices. Because everyone is saying that, in some countries we don't have enough people anymore, nobody is having children, and in other countries we are saying we are having too many children. But what we are saying at UNFPA and population commissions in general in many countries is that you give the choice to the people. You give them the information. You give them access to family planning for families who would like to have that. and you will allow a woman to choose whether or not she would want to have the children, how often, because that also is a determinant, for example, in terms of their maternal health. And so for young girls as well, it means being able to be informed about the choices and stay in school and graduate from high school at least.
Like you said, I mean, the report, I mean, this year's report actually is focusing on the real fertility crisis.
Yes.
Could you just tell us, I mean, what is this crisis really?
Yes.
I mean, is it just about few people being born, or there's something deeper that...
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you are in the world right now, some countries, I mentioned the Asian ones earlier, are really facing the crisis of not having enough people born each year, which means that the population replenishment is not happening at the rate it should be, and that becomes a crisis, obviously, for any states. However, the reason why in those countries women are not having as many children as they would like is that as you go along, you also have to have policies in place that allows women to go to work and be able to keep their children in a creche, for example. So there are a lot of policies and things that need to be put in place for people to have children. On the other side, you have countries where women are having many children without their will. So there's what we call an unmet need for family planning. And in those cases, you will have a high maternal mortality rate, for example, because women will have many children, not space, and that will affect their bodies. And then you will also have a crisis, because in that instance, you will probably have a maternal death very, very high in your country, or you will not have enough classrooms for all the children who are being born in that country, etc. And that's why Mariama was talking about the issue of doing the country profile to find out where the opportunities are, where should we invest, and in some cases even doing what we call the demographic dividend responsive budgeting, looking at all the sectors and where the country should be investing to be able to reap the dividend by being able to have a good human capital, as it happens in some of the Asian countries, for example, in the 80s and 90s.
And Madam Fane, I mean, you had the commission, the secretariat in this country. How is the Gambia responding to the shifting fertility patterns?
Like I said, as Madame de Rosa said, things are very different. In the Gambia, when it comes to fertility, it's very, very different when it comes to the fertility rate. If you look at, let's say, a place like Kuntawur or a place like Banjul. For Banjul, it's around 3.1. And for a place like Kuntawur, it's about 6, about 6.4. So the rates are very, very different. So what the theme is about...
What is responsible for
that? Education and also wealth. Because if you look at the DHS, the latest DHS, it tells you that with education comes a reduction in fertility, because the DHS compares those that have never been to school with those that have high school and higher, or secondary school and higher. And for those that have never been to school, 36% of them, and these are adolescents, 36% of them were pregnant or have started childbearing, and only 6% have started childbearing for those with secondary school or higher. And when it comes to wealth also, it has a great impact or a significant effect on whether somebody is pregnant early or not. Because looking at wealth, comparing wealth for adolescents that are in the lowest level of the ladder when it comes to the wealth quintile, 22% of them were pregnant or have started childbearing during the time of the DHS, compared to 6% of them that were at the highest wealth quintile. So education is a factor, and as well as because education would, for those that are educated, they don't get married really early. And even if they get married, they also do some birth spacing. And things have also changed. Because if you look at the report that Rose was, that is the State of the World Population Report, it tells you that for some people, they give reasons for not wanting to have children. And one of the main reasons was financial, about 39%. and then you have lack of security about your job, about 21%, the two of them combined being very, very high. So people are giving reasons for not wanting to have children. And if you look at ourselves, because for some of us right now, our parents have 6, 7, but their kids, currently would have 2 or 3 or even 1, and some of them might not even have. So
you
things are really...
the issue of job security. I quite understand your point here. Is it more, does this have to do with the public sector or the private sector?
No, jobs, it is everywhere. Because everywhere. In this report, this was a survey done of 14 countries. Okay. About 14,000 people were surveyed. And these people were, telling the reasons why. But in the Gambia too, what we did is that as a secretariat, we are represented in all of the regions or in all of the LGAs. So we're working with our field officers, and they're working with youths in the different LGAs for them to also look at the theme for World Population Day and then come up with a recommendation, so that we're going to have a consolidated document to be presented at the commemoration of World Population Day, for us to know also what the youths in the Gambia are thinking about the theme for this year.
Yeah. And Madam Rose, when you look at given the challenges and the implications, that this thing comes with, you Alan mentioned the issue of investment. I would just like to find out from you, what investment do you think are needed now to ensure, at least in the case of the Gambia, that Gambian youth have the resources and the freedom to choose if, when, and how many children to have?
I mean, first and foremost is education. Okay. And when I mean education, I also mean comprehensive health education as well, because you need to have the life skills to understand about your body, to know what is the right age to be sexually active, to start a family. The more educated you are, the more informed choices you will make, and then you choose the size of your family. Of course, health is also very, very important, because most people will tell you that where they live, they may not have access to the best health care. So health care is very, very important, and it's more so important when it's about maternal health. So you should be able, wherever you are, from Banjul to Basse, to give birth in a health facility with a state-of-the-art quality of care. And that's where the issue can be. Of course, once you have been educated and you're healthy, you also want a job. You want a decent job, so not just any job. You want a job where you will be able to take care of yourself and your family, right? And so the differences can happen also from urban to rural areas because of the economic conditions in which you will be living. And then once you have all of that, and Mariama is the Population Commission, so maybe she can tell you more about what the demographic dividend is. You want a population that is active, but you don't want an active population that is taking care of the lower part of the pyramid and the higher part of the pyramid, meaning you are working, but you are taking care of your children and the younger ones, but you also have parents who are getting old but have not been able to get what they need. So you're working, but you are taking care of two demographic, and that also can be a burden.
She's talked about the issue of, comprehensive education, talking about health education. In the case of the Gambia, what strategies are in place to ensure, young people have access to information? It's one thing to say, okay, people need to have comprehensive education. Maybe there's someone as far as Koina who has not gone to school, but perhaps there could be centers where they can have access to information regarding this thing.
Maybe they rules with UNFPA, because they're doing a lot in that area.
Exactly,
for
yeah.
Me,
so both of you,
I
know you are collaborating in many areas.
For me, the area that I can talk more about is when he mentioned that we can say something about the demographic dividend as a secretariat. Yeah. Because apart from the fact that we have a profile, we also have developed monitoring tools. And these monitoring tools are aligned to the African Union roadmap for harnessing the demographic dividend. And the roadmap has 4 pillars: employment and entrepreneurship, education skills development, health and well-being. And in health and well-being, that is where the sexual and reproductive health of adolescents, girls and women come in, and also good governance and youth empowerment. And those monitoring tools are now a part and parcel of the strategic plans of 4 LGAs in this country. That is the Basse LGA, the Birkama LGA, the Kanifing LGA, and the Kuntawur LGA. So these monitoring tools are part of now the monitoring framework that are being tracked by those LGAs when it comes to harnessing the potential of their youths for harnessing for the demographic dividend. Because when we develop these monitoring tools, we develop them at the national level, but we also develop them for each LGA. Each LGA has its own monitoring tool. So each LGA can monitor and track progress as to whether they really are tapping the potential of youths.
Is that the local government area?
At the local government
LGA,
area.
okay.
We have it. We
So
have it for each of the
know what
LGAs.
you are referring to.
Yes, for each local government area. Okay. And he also mentioned the demographic dividend sensitive budgeting. For this one too, it's on the pipeline for the training to be done with the Director of Budget, Ministry of Finance. Okay. And for that, we're getting the technical support from UNFPA, and it's also being funded by the World Bank. So this would really help government to know where to channel the funds or where to spend money for harnessing the demographic dividend.
Yes, and coming back to the comprehensive health education, so it's very simple. So, as you grow up, and in UNFPA we like to always call on the 10-year-old girl. There are certain things in life that you need to know. One of them is, for example, about your menstrual health and hygiene. And it's one of the issue that is preventing a lot of girls from going to school on a regular basis and staying in school during those days. So if you miss 5 to 6 days per month out of the year, if you go to school for 10 months, it means that you've mostly missed 60 days of school. And the UNESCO is telling us that if you are missing that many days in school, you are not as performer as a young boy who will be going to school on a regular basis. And so you need to know about your body, you need to know what is consent, what is right and wrong, what is gender-based violence, what is violence against women, and all of that. So that's what the comprehensive health education is about. And also preventing yourself from getting pregnant and wanting pregnancy, or being abused without knowing what an abuse is. Because I always tell that if you are a young girl, 9 years old, and your parent's neighbor is touching your breast, and you don't know that it's not right for that person to touch you, you will probably let it go. And then you'll end up liking it. And when you start liking it, so it will go further, and then you will probably get pregnant at an early age. So if you have this information, you will make informed choices, and you will know what is right and wrong, and that's what comprehensive health education is about. And of course, UNFPA and its partners does it in school and out of school, because we are aware and we know that not everyone is at school. So the safe spaces exist. The program is across the country. We have young people, peers, who are also educating their friends and family members.
So do you conduct evaluation to know the impact of your programs?
Yeah, of course we do. So UNFPA has been in the Gambia. This is our 9th program, so we've been here more than 50 years now. And as we go along, we make gains, a lot of gains. But as Mariama was mentioning before, gender and social norms are very, very difficult to change. So if you look at the trend, it's positive. We are not saying that things are not moving as they should, but when 51% of the population is made by women and young women, we need to do something about it. Just yesterday, our Deputy Secretary General was in town, and she was saying that you can't, a bird with 2 wings needs to fly with 2 wings. So if you have half of your population not productive, not educated, not knowledgeable, there's chances that you will not have a good human capital, and then the demographic dividend is not going to be meaningful.
So Madam Fane, maybe Madam Rose could also help in answering this question. What do you come across as misconceptions about this whole issue of fertility and, of course, population trends, and what has the report actually revealed?
For the report, when it comes to, like I said, this is something that was done. In fact, looking at the report, I saw that the only West African country that was, that took part in the survey is Nigeria. Okay. So that is what I saw in the report. So when it comes to misconceptions, maybe...
why is that? Why just Nigeria?
No, I mean, first of all, it's a report that we do every year, and each and every year you have a different subject matter. Okay. So in this particular one, I mean, Nigeria, in my opinion, is quite representative of Africa because there are more than 200 million people. So I think the sampling was done right. And the theme of this year was about the fertility crisis, because today the rhetoric around the world is that, oh, we don't have enough people on one side, and then in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa in particular, people will say you have too many people. So UNFPA, we are saying there is no such thing as we are too many or too little. What is happening is that we have to look at the root causes of this crisis. So for example, if you go to South Korea, a young woman will tell you that her salary, access to, a good healthcare, not healthcare, a good creche for their kids to be able to stay there the whole day doesn't exist, or if it does, it's so expensive that they cannot afford it. So you have to put in place the policies and the environment for people to be able to have those children and feel confident that it's not going to be an economic burden. In Africa, even in some instances, I'm sure when we get the results of the survey from the Gambia, you will hear young people who are today 35 years old and who will tell you that they have not started their family because they don't have the means to have a wife or a husband. So the crisis is not about what people would like to have, but how have we put in place the minimum for them to be able to have the children and make sure that they will be alive. In our context, it's very, very important. So is your baby going to survive in Kuntaur? Because the government and everyone has put in place a system for you to have a healthy baby. So maybe you won't want to have a baby at all because you don't want them to be born in somewhere where they will not be able to be taken care of. And the same thing happens when you ask women who have 6, 7, 8 children, there's an unmet need for family planning. They will tell you that if I was given the choice, I would have stopped or I would have spaced my children, because the spacing is also very, very important for the woman's body to recover, for her to be able to get another baby, without getting sick, without getting any morbidity, including, for example, obstetric fistula.
So, Madam Fane, in the case of the Gambia, do you think we are doing enough to include, youth voices in this whole conversation?
I think we are, because
this is not something that people discuss openly because of maybe our
culture
and all those things.
Yeah, because of socio-cultural norms.
Yeah.
But I think we're doing our utmost, especially with support from partners. Going around to sensitize youths in the regions, and also peer-to-peer education, like Rose was mentioning, because we've been monitoring the UNFPA-funded country program. We've been coordinating it, and we go on monitoring field visits.
Okay. And
in this monitoring field visit, we meet with youths, and these are peer educators that are being supported under the program, and they're the ones going around to sensitize their own peers about teenage pregnancy, about making sure that they abstain or use family planning if they feel that they're active.
Madam Rose, you have something to add to what she was just talking about?
No, I was just going to say that I strongly believe that the youth of today, we are in a village planétaire, as they say in French. So whether we like it or not, they are on TikTok, they are on Facebook, they are on Instagram, they are connected through TV and YouTube to the rest of the world. So the information is out there. And when the information is out there, our role as practitioners, development practitioners, is to make sure that they have the right information. And the right information means the comprehensive health education I spoke about in school and out of school. It means galvanizing the civil society organizations so that they can go out there. And I truly believe that they are out there because I know of a lot of young civil society organizations in the Gambia who are doing their utmost best to make sure that women and girls and young people know what's happening. I can, think of a few. You have Think Young Women, Girls Pride, Men for Equality, which is a young organization coming up with, positive masculinity, because we also realize that in our line of work, it's important to engage men and boys. We have a network of traditional and religious leaders who strongly believe in what we are doing and are standing with us at all time. We have parliamentarians who are also, you know, very privy to the cause and are really helping us with young people. So I think the movement is there, and the government is very, very committed as well. So the seeds are there. We just need to continue working towards making sure that information is available, services are available, because the availability of services also is very, very important. Because, for example, when you have access to information, you probably won't even get pregnant at all at 16 years old, because you know what to do. Yeah. You know how to prevent it. You will not contract HIV because you know how to people get HIV. You know, so the information is very, very important for these young people, and it starts at a very young age. Unfortunately, people think that having this information will make you more promiscuous. It's the contrary. It's the contrary. If you know what to do, you will not get yourself into trouble most of the time.
Madam, does the Gambia has any national policy on fertility or family planning?
Yes.
And if so, how is it being implemented?
Yeah, there is a
because
family
we are
planning.
in a country where we are good at formulating policies,
Yes.
but
Yes.
effective implementation
Yes.
is always a problem.
Yeah, but I think also you're going into family planning.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a policy, and the policy is being implemented by RAMCA. But I also think, looking at the topic and going back to, you know, when I mentioned that, I wanted to clarify something. When I mentioned that Nigeria was the only country included in the survey, that notwithstanding, the results of the survey speak to every country.
Yeah.
Because if you look at...
the realities are the same.
If you look at, and like Madam Deros was saying, when we have consulted with the youths all over the country, and when the results are coming in, but I'm sure when we collate everything, we'll see that it's not going to be very different from what we have seen in other countries, like people saying that they're not having as many kids because they don't have the required finances, or, you know, they don't have job security. I'm sure those are the things that are also, you know, going to come from the report. Having said that, the topic that we're dealing with is a topic that is cross-cutting, because you can have, like Rose is saying, you can have the information, sexual and reproductive health information is important, as well as the services being provided. But it's also very important for our young ones to be educated, and also for them to have the right skills and the right jobs. And I want to add here that you ask this question, but we're doing a lot in terms of harnessing the potential of these youths. Because if you look at education is very key. If you look at education, primary and secondary, more schools have been built. Yeah. You know, apart from that, apart from the fact that schools have been built, we have the enrollment rate having also increased. That is for harnessing the demographic dividend. Enrollment rate has increased, being a total enrollment and the gross enrollment rate. And this has also helped with retention. When it comes to health, UNFPA is also supporting and other partners for us to provide comprehensive sexuality education, like Rose mentioned, outside of school and also in schools. We also have TVET, because we need for our youths to be equipped with the right skills, for them to be able to have to be productive in the labor force. Because Rose mentioned that the deputy, you mentioned somebody, yes, saying that if we are not very careful, we're not going to harness the demographic dividend. Because if you look at the study that we did, it shows that the potential is going to peak in 2035, and the window will close in 2050. So when the window closes, what we're going to have is an aging population. And right now, if you look at the census and compare to the 2013 census, it shows that child dependency has declined in this country by 6%. And what a decline in child dependency means that you have your working population has outnumbered, or what we have right now is that the working population has outnumbered the non-working population. That also is a window of opportunity for harnessing the demographic dividend. So we have two set of evidences showing that the window of opportunity has opened. So what we need to do as a country is to make the right investment in health and well-being for adolescents and for everyone, investment in education, investment in skills and entrepreneurship, as well as good governance and youth empowerment. And
talking about the investment, what should be the short-term investment as we speak, the urgent investment that we should look into?
I mean, first of all, I think we need to also say that the government of the Gambia is really committed. I mean, the National Development Plan is very clear. Education, leaving no one behind is there. So whether you are in a rural area or an urban area, the government is really committed to taking care of you. Now, you know, we have an economic crisis across the world. So it's going to be very difficult to count on the external world to help us. And that's when, for example, relying on domestic resources and really going out there and finding your own source of financing is very, very important. And I know that the government is also committed to that. So Mariama was mentioning the fact that both at the primary level and up to middle school, we really have done very well in keeping young girls and in school. But the numbers then start dropping once you pass the age of the middle school. I don't know, how do you call it, middle school here? Because I'm a little bit in the US system. So after middle school, when they turn 15, you will get less of the girls finishing school. And that dropout is a problem. It's an issue. And one of the projects we have with the World Bank is the Sub-Saharan Women Empowerment and Demographic Dividend, which the Gambia is benefiting from, and UNFPA is a technical partner, is to really do the investment in those girls from 10 years to 19, where you give them all the opportunities to stay in school and perform in school, including not just passing one grade to the other, but really being excellent at what they do. By providing them the menstrual pads they need, the books they need, the financial support they need, and the psychosocial support, because if you've been beaten every day, or you've been subjected to many forms of violence, you are not focused, you will not succeed. And unfortunately, the numbers are staggering. 1 out of 3 women or young girl in this country, like the rest of the world, would have been beaten by a family member, diminished, and the psychological part is also there. Because when someone is telling you every day that you are not worth it, the chances is that by the time you turn 18, all you can think of is to get married and get out of that household, because you think that you are saving yourself by going somewhere else, right? But that's not the issue. The issue is for you to stay in school, to finish school, to have access to TVET, and I know the Ministry of Higher Education is really doing well into that. So really giving them all the opportunities for them to excel. And once that is done, it's over.
And Madam Fane, what will you describe or say some mistakes that have been committed in the past that we should avoid repeating while we try to address the current fertility challenges? Are there mistakes in the past that you think we should really avoid repeating?
The way family planning was introduced in this country, because when it comes to family planning, it's practiced in Islam. Yeah. It's about breastfeeding for 2 years. But seeing family planning as something that is foreign, I think has had a very big backlash when it comes to the acceptance of family planning in this country. And also adding to what Madam Deirosar said, the Swede is doing very well in as far as keeping girls in school are concerned, and the government is also doing well when it comes to making sure that there is an improvement in education. Recently, we have seen 2 more universities, public universities, in this country, to ensure that also people are in school and finish tertiary education. Apart from that, the expansion in TVET, as well as the women, the fund that is being managed, the Women Enterprise Fund, and also the YEP. These are, things that are really helping, because they provide capital, and they also provide, they link youths with markets where they can also sell their products.
You mentioned the issue of, that comprehensive education about empowering young girls in school and all those things. But when you look at the different categories of young people, are there a particular group that you think need more attention, more focused?
Like Mariama was mentioning, I mean, the poorer you are, the less chances you are to succeed. So we, in the United Nations, we talk about when they develop the Sustainable Development Goals about leaving no one behind and starting with those furthest behind first. So the investment needs to be done at a rural area. I know that the Central River region, for example, is really has very alarming data when it comes to everything, education, as she was mentioning, the fertility rate, the access to education, access to health, and all of that. So we need to invest more into those regions where the numbers are more alarming. And I think the data revolution is also something we need to talk about, because we are in the world of digitalization, and the more data you have into what is happening in one particular country, the more informed decision you will make. And we have done the population housing census in 2024, so it's already giving you a little bit of information. And I know the Gambia is also benefiting from another World Bank project on harmonizing the statistics in West and Central Africa, and that is about the quality of the data, the availability, and also the harmonization across the region, because we also live in a region. We're not isolated from the rest of the Sahel and the West and Central Africa region. And it's important at any given time to have the data, the population data, the data in terms of maternal health, the data on education, the data on where people have the most access and where they are left behind, so that we can address those. And even looking at the disabled, because we always think in our society that, especially in Africa, that once you are disabled, you are not good for anything. But that's not true. All we need is to put in place the policies and also the right schools for people to be able to express themselves differently, but not being excluded, because we are also talking about a population that is not so little in the end, because you can have any kind of disability, visible or not visible.
And Madam Fane, I mean, what role do you think, I mean, families or even community leaders can play in supporting, I mean, youth empowerment, particularly in the areas she mentioned the issue of CRR? I mean,
like she mentioned, we have this network of religious leaders. We have them in all of the regions, and we also have this network of traditional communicators, and we use them in our advocacy for them to advocate and also to sensitize.
How effective are they? I mean,
they're very effective, because look at in the issue of let's say FGM, because these are people that they really people listen to, people really respect, and people revere. So when they really understand and accept your cause, they're very effective in ensuring that they convert people, or they move people towards what you want them to do.
But we have seen instances where some of these community leaders, some of these religious leaders are against certain fundamental things that you stand against.
Yeah, but I think it's a lack of information, and we are trying our very best to really widen the base and make sure that we all understand each other. Because the reason why, for example, at the National Assembly we were able to get the result that we got last year is because those parliamentarians came to understand that the issue was not about controlling someone's body, it was not about any religion or any belief, but it was about the health and well-being of a young child who's at the beginning of their lives and have a lot of potential. And by leaving them as they are, as complete as they were, you are giving them the opportunity of becoming a citizen that will be meaningfully contributing to your economic growth. And so that's how we see it. It's really about it's a human rights issue, you know. It's my body, it's my life, it's my world. Why would you do anything to prevent me from getting into my full potential?
And does that in any way frustrate your work?
Not really, because this is something that has been around for a very long time. We just have to deal with it and then, continue sensitizing them. And like Deiros was saying, you'll always have some, people that will be against what you're doing, and you'll have some that will be supporting the cause that you're doing. And at the end of the day, it's about trying to sit down with them and try to reach an understanding, trying to make them understand what you're doing, and for them to understand that this is meant for the benefit and for the good of everyone, including themselves. Because if it has to do with the issue of FGM, you can have a daughter, and you can be somebody that is pro FGM, and you can be sensitized about the negative effects of FGM or the negative effects of marrying your child off early. And going through that talk with you, you might be convinced not to marry your daughter off early, or not to take your daughter to, for your daughter to be circumcised, depending on whatever the negative effects are when it comes to FGM, or marrying off your daughter early, or what she can lose by getting married early and not completing her education, and not being able to take care of herself, and not being able to take care of you, the dad.
Earlier on, you commended the government for the efforts it is doing in actually empowering young people through education and all those things. But what will you point to as areas that you think the government should improve on as we celebrate World Population Day and looking at the theme?
As we celebrate World Population Day, like I said, we're making a lot of investments. We have updated the profile. We have the monitoring tools. We're also working on having a demographic dividend sensitive budgeting. So we really need to reinforce, what we're doing, and also ensure that when it comes to the planning process, the plan or the planning process is aligned to what we call the demographic dynamics. When we're planning, whatever we're planning for, being it health, because we have a changing population. So we have to align the planning process with how our population dynamics are changing.
How inclusive is this planning process?
We have what we call a National Observatory for the Demographic Dividend, and this observatory is led by the National Population Secretariat under the Office of the Vice President. But we have members from 20 MDAs as part of the National Observatory for the Demographic Dividend. And also as part of the legal platform, it's also, there's a representation, it's shared by the Ministry of Justice. So I want to seize this opportunity to thank the chair of the legal platform, Mrs. Maria Tufai. She's doing a very good job. And the vice chair of the legal platform, Mrs. Maria Tu Newlands. It's being chaired by Justice and co-chaired, and the vice chair is from FLAG. But we're the ones hosting it. But they're doing a great job. In fact, currently as we speak, there are funds to review the Women's Act, the Sexual Violence Act.
That's the 2010 Act?
Yeah, the Children's Act, and also the Domestic Violence Act. And the process has started. We've drafted the terms of reference for the hire of the consultant. So I would like to really commend them for the good job.
I know we're running out of time, but finally, Madam Rose, how are we going to celebrate, the event this year, World Population Day?
So we have an event.
Are there any organized event or what?
Yes.
So we have an event organized by the National Population Commission and UNFPA. We actually, usually the government and the National Population Commission will celebrate World Population Day, but UNFPA has this flagship report that we launch every year. So we'll take the opportunity to also, and the message is very clear. What we are trying to say is that really it's about choices. It's reproductive health and rights choices for individuals and families at any given time, wherever you live in the world, to choose how many, when, and with whom you want to have your children. I think that's the message. And whether you are talking about the youth in the Gambia or the youth across the world, what we want people to understand is that the crisis is not about a fertility issue. It's more about how are we putting in place all the right policies and the human rights that lays it, of course, for people to feel free and to choose.
So, Madam Fane, how are you going to celebrate the day this year?
Like Nehru's mentioned, we are going to be at the OIC. You are invited.
Okay, all right. That's Friday, right?
On Friday.
All right.
We're going to have the launch of the State of World Population Report. We're also going to have a mic pass. And on Friday, Madam Nehru's and I will be going to West Coast Radio. So we'll be there with in the morning with Peter Gomez.
Oh yeah, a veteran broadcaster. Yeah. Oh, cool. So who are we expecting on Friday at the OIC? Who are we expecting to witness the launching of this report?
We're going to confirm that tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So tomorrow, inshallah.
Okay. Interesting. But looking ahead, Madam Rose, this question will go to both of you. What actually gives you hope about the future of population dynamics in the Gambia?
Whatever my sister Mariama said, because the commitment is there. The government, its national development plan talked about demographic dividend, health, education, the building human capital. So it's really in the plan and the long-term vision. And then by accepting to take the funds from the World Bank on this women empowerment and demographic dividend project, I think they're also showing their really the willingness to work on their population issues and particularly to take care of its young population and the women and girls of the Gambia. And when you do all of that, you have, like I said, an educated and healthy and productive youth, you can only have economic growth. And in terms of family planning, as we all know, $1 invested in family planning has a return on investment of $8. So it really helps because it helps you to plan a lot, you know, because you know more or less what your demographic trends will be, how many hospitals you need, how many schools you need, how many health centers you need. So it's a planning process that also helped a lot. And I think both at the Office of the Vice President, because that's where the National Population Commission is, and at the highest level in the Office of the President, I think the commitment is there. We actually even developed what we call an investment case on maternal health, gender-based violence, and family planning 2 years ago with the Office of the President itself.
Madam Fane, finally, before we wrap up the program.
Yeah, like Madam Lee was saying, the commitment is there. We're doing a lot. We push to ensure that we update the DD profile to know where we are when it comes to the demographic dividend potential for the country. We develop the monitoring tools, but we're also pushing to ensure that we have a budget transformation, to have a budget that is sensitive to the demographic dividend. Apart from that, looking at the investments that I've just mentioned, because this topic is cross-cutting. Yeah. So it requires investment in education, investment in health, investment in employment and entrepreneurship. And if you look at basic education, what is happening, tertiary education, the number of universities, the expansion in TVET, and also the YEP, the women empowerment, the women enterprise fund, and all of those things. It shows that, you know, there is that commitment, and we're pushing to ensure that we harness the potential of this youth bulge that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Madam Dey Rosar, who is country representative of UNFPA in the Gambia, thank you so much for coming on the program. And Madam Mariama Fane, who is the Director of National Population Commission Secretary. It was good to have you on the program as well. Well, viewers, with that, we bring an into this week's edition of your weekly State of Affairs program. I was your host, Aliu Sise. Do join us next week. Until bye-bye from me and the entire team.